Open the door. What is the problem here? Create HTML form containing text boxes. You know how to create a text box. What is the tag? Input type is equal to text. So you need how many text boxes here? One to enter name of the student, one for roll number, student course, and the grade. So four text boxes in the HTML form. Then, when the form runs in the browser, fill the text boxes with the data. So when you run the program, you need to enter the student name, roll number, course, and grade. Then write JavaScript code that verifies that all the text boxes has been filled, and if a text box has been left empty, pop up an alert indicating which text box has been left empty. So what has to happen is we should write a JavaScript for validation, that is no text box should be submitted empty. First you have four text boxes. Let me show you the output. Okay, so this is the student form that has been created. Four text boxes are there. Every text box data should be there. Any one text box also, even if it is left empty, no? When you click on this submit button, an alert window should come. What is the alert window? One dialog box which comes up with what? Which buttons? Only the OK button. So see here, if I click on submit now, you are getting here. The alert window is popping up, no? So it is asking you to enter the student name. So say that I'll enter the student name here, but I'm going to leave this roll number blank. Let me enter the course and let me enter the grade, and I say submit. So it is giving the appropriate message. Roll number is blank. So this validation has to be done with the help of the JavaScript. So let's start with the program now. Okay, now if you remember meta tags we had studied, if you feel you won't be able to understand all this or remember all this, you can skip. You very well know that your HTML will still work even with this, without this. You can start with head, you can start with a proper title for that, and then start with the body section. So let's have a look directly here. What form elements are there? Okay. Have a look at the first tag here, the division tag. Okay. I have said division style and I've just specified the width as 20%. Have a look once at the output. Observe these borders, the gray borders that you get. Now, instead of 20, let me change it to 70. You're able to see the difference where the division tag is working. Okay, so this is about the division tag, which will we have studied just a division wherein we are able to club different widgets, but that time we didn't give any borders or there was no such a tag where you could see the gray color line and all. So this is the division tag wherein we have tried to group it. Another important thing for grouping the elements is your field set tag. It is called as field set. It comes with opening. Let's check where is the closing tag. Observe the closing tag here. It is after your form. So what are we saying? Any number of elements that we put up in the form should come one below another, proper formatted. It should not be like one text box here, one here, one here. If you remember the examples that we did previously, only where we created text boxes and labels were there, how they were available on the browser, how they were visible on the browser, just the name was coming and the text box. Such effects were not there. The field set tag will help you to group all those elements, all your form elements, and put it in that proper box. That is the division. This is a field set. And also see here, after the field set, we are ending the division. So basically the entire form is present in these two main tags. Now, what is this legend? Within the legend tag, I have written student form. Where is the student form coming? You remember you had one tag called caption for tables. Right above the table you would get. So for the form also, now if you do not mention that, it is fine, it will work. But then for the user to understand what form we have created, it is better always to give such titles. So the legend tag will help you to give a proper title and fit it within that border itself. For the border it will cover up, and in the center you get this student form or whatever title you give, that will be visible. Okay, now form action. You remember what is form action? What form action does? When the data is entered, no, in that browser window on the in the text box, where should the data go? Should it go in the database? Should it be diverted to another page? Right? That will be given in the action. What should happen? But since we are not connecting, this program is not related to databases. We are not connecting. Neither are we trying to display it on any other page. We are not fetching these data there also. Just submit, and you'll be able to see it in the URL there. So I have kept this as a blank. Next, you have method. Do you remember the two methods? Which are they? What does get method do? Let's go back and check here. Let me enter the data once again. Just observe the URL. See here, the query string is there. All that are entered is visible there. That is the get method. If I'm going to change this, if I change this to post, just wait, we'll refresh. This is saved. Let me rerun it from here. Now you see the URL. Query string is not there. Means what those parameters are entered, that is not there. So this is two methods, get or post. Since we are not storing in database or there is no security concern, I have given it get, because you will not be able to understand them whether you have submitted or not. Okay. So for that purpose, in this program, we will use get. Next we have is an event, which is called as on submit. The event name is on submit. Now what I want is, the moment the user clicks on that button, no, what should happen? Your data should be submitted. If all the text boxes are filled, then only the data should be submitted. So on submit, I'm saying when the user clicks on the submit button, the form should be submitted. For that, we are calling a function. This is nothing but a function. Validate form is a function. You can see here two parameters. So what is happening when the user clicks on the button? We will move to JavaScript. Why JavaScript? Can you tell me, when the user clicks only, why are you moving to this JavaScript? What is the problem statement? Check for the text boxes to be filled. The user can also click the text boxes when it is empty. I could click this. Okay, it is blank now. I could still click. Should the form be submitted now? There is no data. Even if you submit, it is just going to be blank. Imagine that you're storing in a database. All entries would be blank. So what is the request here? When the user clicks, also observe the button. It is submit. The button type itself is submit. It is not a normal OK button or the button with a random text. We'll see that in HTML now. So when what our concern is, when the user clicks on the button, this function should be called. What this function does? Checks or validates whether the text boxes are filled or are they empty. We are not checking here for the length of the username. We are not checking whether the user has entered correct roll number and all. That we are not checking. We are just checking whether they are filled or they are empty. So before we come to JavaScript, let's see what all text boxes we have created now. You remember the label tag? What does the label tag do? What does the label tag do? Can't hear. What is the label tag doing? At least look at the output and tell. From where the student name is displaying? It's a label. The text which is going to be fixed or constant which can't be changed. Right? Then input type for all are going to be text boxes. So we have given as text. I have also given a name. I have given ID. These two things, name and ID. Okay, why we use? Now what is going to happen as and when we start with JavaScript? You may not just want to display it and just click on submit all the time. You will also want at times to fetch that particular text. You want to store it. Okay. Now how do I fetch the text that the user has entered in that text box? Now this JavaScript will give you different ways. The entire browser that you see will be treated as a document object. That object has different properties also. One we used, you remember document.write? Document.write, what does it do? Displays the text on the browser. You need to watch the videos and come. Okay, so document.write will display the text on the browser. We have seen programs, I have seen programs, you people are yet to see. So those programs were just displaying it on the browser. We are not, just like the terminal where you execute and you got to see the output. So here everything was on the browser, the Fibonacci series, the previous journal programs. Now here, let's go to this slide. Have a look at this particular thing. Okay, you can see there are three methods mentioned there. Document.getElement by ID. GetElement by ID is a method, a function. Wherever you see brackets, it is called as a method. Then you have another getElements by tag name. If you observe it properly, you can see JavaScript, I told you, is case sensitive. That E is capital, B is capital, ID, I is capital. In the tag name, T is capital, M is capital. Each of these are taking one parameter. That getElement by class name, even that is there, which takes the class name. We are not studying classes for JavaScript. We do not include that. But we will stick to the first two. GetElement by ID and getElement by tag name. Now, just have a look at the cases, which is written in lowercase, which is written in uppercase. Document, entire is small case, dot, get is small case, element E is capital, rest one letters are capital. Okay, let's go back here. Now what we want is to validate for the JavaScript code. We can either make use of name or we can make use of ID. What we will do is we'll make use of ID in this program. So we will check with the help of this ID whether that particular text box is empty or it is filled. Before we proceed to that, just completely have a look at the HTML code here. Another element that is used is the placeholder. What is this placeholder? We go back here, have a look. Within the text boxes, are you able to see in gray color student name? That is called as a placeholder. For example, I will just remove this student. Let me just keep it as a name. See, the student name has been changed to name. So this is called as a placeholder. Similarly, 4 text boxes are created. Now what you need to remember is, whenever you create text boxes, since you will also make use of the JavaScript, make use of relevant names. For name, give the proper name, ID, give proper. You can all, there is no restriction that name and ID can't be same. It is allowed. Name and IDs can be same. But IDs and IDs of different text boxes can't be same. I'll tell you why we cannot repeat the IDs in an form. Just connect this. Thank you. Understood with HTML code? What does BR do? No line. Fine. Likewise, you give relevant IDs and names, okay? Randomly just don't type anything because you not remember in JavaScript then what you're using. Name, now if I look at this now, I can relate. Okay, this must be for name. If I look at roll number, I understand it is roll number. Another important thing, since JavaScript is case sensitive, try to use all the time lowercase so that there is no confusion where capitals are used, whether first letter is capital, whether last letter is capital. Easiest way to remove errors would be to use everything in the lowercase. Do not give blank spaces. Like for example, here, roll number. There are two different words. There should be no, like, it should not be like this. So if you want to use, you write it continuous or make use of an underscore. Now, last important part here in the form is, have a look at this last statement. Button type I have said. I have not said input type is equal to button. Even that is there. Input type is equal to button will also come. We have used that. Whenever we say input type is equal to button, what we do? We will also have to give the value, like what text should come on that button. We do not want that. Because our functionality here itself is what? When you click on the button, data should be submitted. And before submission, it should check for validations. So we'll directly go for the built-in button type. And here you need to say submit. You can, which is another option here, reset. We have covered this. Another button type would be reset. Everything, all the data that you filled erases off. So we'll make use of submit. This text that is there will come on the button and the closing button tag. Then you need, remember, close the form tag, otherwise it will be a problem. To find the errors, all we have to do is right click on the browser and look, but that will be difficult. Make sure you close the form tag, we need to close division also, we need to close the field set tag also, in the same order. Here, have a look here. First is division, then is field set. First you can't close division and then you can't close field and then go for form. In this same order it should work. Okay. Now, tomorrow's class we'll see how we'll find errors with this code. We'll remove some tags on the browser, we'll check. Anyways, you have lab tomorrow. Now, we'll come to this JavaScript. Where do we write the JavaScript code in the program? In which section of HTML? In the body section of the HTML, we are writing JavaScript. So the script tag is opened here. It will close at the end. Now, function validate form. Where is this validate form function used first time? In the button on that on submit event in the form there. Again, understand that how I have said it is case sensitive. F is capital here. Many of the times what students do is when they're writing there, they'll say we remember it is capital. When you come down to this JavaScript, you write everything in lowercase. Function names mismatch will happen. Function will never be called. So for that purpose, I'm saying follow any one convention. If you make everything in capitals also, it is fine. It will be difficult for you to read. Because all these inbuilt functions come like this. So better way would be you write in smaller case. So we have started with the function now. Within this function, first important thing is I am going to just declare 4 variables. These are 4 variables. Student name, st underscore name stands for student name. I have student roll number, student course and student grade. What is the purpose of these variables? What I want is whatever the user is entering here. If I enter ABC, this ABC should be stored in this. Now, the task is, how do I fetch it? For that purpose, here we have this document dot get element, which is the element that we want to get. The element of the text box. Element is the text box. How do you want to get it? With the help of the ID. What is the ID that we had given? Let's check here. Name. The ID is name. Now, in double quotes, you need to specify that same ID, okay? You need to understand this is not whatever I want, I'll type. This ID, the same convention has to come there. What this statement is doing here? It is trying to get the element. The element we have is text box. The first text box. First text box ID, name. So if with this particular unique ID, I am trying to refer to this text box. So whatever the user enters in this text box will now be stored in my variable, that is st_name. Is going to be stored in this name. This is another variable. Now, I said dot value dot trim. Dot value will help us to fetch that actual value that is entered. I entered in the text box ABC. That value with this particular dot value, it will fetch. What is dot trim? Remove the white spaces. For example, okay, I will not directly type ABC. I'll give some spaces. Then I will type ABC. But is any person's name like this? No, no. So when you, these conventions, especially when you actually want to develop a proper project or you want to store in the database, how if it is stored in like this only in the database? It is going to be difficult. Blank spaces will not make any sense. The user might also, see, I might also enter /n. Will such a name exist? So all these extra characters will be removed with the help of this trim function. If you do not use in this program, still the program will work properly only. You can remove that trim function. You can remove that BR tags. You will get everything in one line. You can remove the legend. You can remove the field set, the division tags. Just go for a basic HTML form. So, but when you learn it properly. Now, the trim function is going to remove. So, what we have done is for all those text boxes, I need those blank spaces, extra blank spaces to be removed. So, everywhere I have used. Now, similarly, can you tell me what is the task of these three variables here? The three variables are trying to store whatever values are entered in the respective text box. We will fetch them again here with the help of ID itself. So you need to just pass a single parameter in this function. If you are confused, let me tell once again. Get element by ID is a function. That function takes just one argument or only one parameter. That one parameter is nothing but ID. ID of the text box which values or whose values you want to fetch. So that ID is passed here. So if you have given there as only role, here also it should be role. Otherwise it is not going to fetch the value. See, remember this, I am stressing now because you have large programs on PHP, that is a database. There you will end up making errors. So that is why remember these conventions. Where ID comes, from where that ID is coming. Are you able to understand the flow? All of you? Now, next part is whatever the user has entered, the name is stored in this variable with the help of this thing. One LHS is there, one RHS is there. On the RHS part, we are trying to fetch or get the value with the help of document.getElement by ID. Whatever value is fetched on the RHS side is going to be stored on the LHS side. And we will make use of this LHS variable. Okay. So if condition 4 text boxes are there, instead of going for if else, directly 4 if conditions, separate if conditions we have taken now. So here I am checking student name. This student name refers to this variable. Student name dot length. Length is an inbuilt property which will try to help us to see whether the text box is blank. See, we are assigning it to 0, comparing it with 0. If it is 0 means it is empty. Nothing is there. So if it is empty, then I need to pop up an alert message saying enter your name. Then I have said return false. What does return false do? In the comments I've written stops execution. See, if the text box is blank there, I need not submit it in the database. The program should halt its execution. The program should stop its execution there itself. So for that sake, I've said return false. Return false will stop its execution, and unless and until you don't enter, the execution will not start itself. So I need to enter something in the text box. Next thing, repeat once again here, we are not checking for the character length, like the user's name should be of 8 characters, or it should not include any special symbols. It should not include zeros, digits and all. We are not checking for that. We are just checking whether it is blank or not. Similarly, we have remote if conditions here with the same thing, which checks whether the text box length is 0. If it is 0, it means it is blank, and prop the appropriate message and you stop the execution. So likewise, 4 if conditions are there, and then we end the script tag, body tag and the HTML tag. What modifications you can do? If you want, you try for this, check whether the student name contains any alpha digits. Does it contain any special symbol? How will you validate it? So one concept will come up now in the unit, that is called as pattern matching, regular expressions and all that. So those things you can include here and check. Fine. So clear with this program? Now another program will do, which is similar again. We will do this one, 7th one. So before I proceed, you ask if you have any doubts, anything you have not understood, especially the document.get element by ID. It will come again in the last 4 programs. It is there for database. After a long time, you people have entered the class. So some things suddenly it may be difficult to grasp. Are you able to understand? Read the 7th one. Create a HTML form again containing text box to enter the text. Write a JavaScript code block which checks the contents entered in the form text element. If the text entered is in lowercase, convert to uppercase and make use of uppercase function. So the program is pretty much simple. One text box. So one HTML code will be there, which will have input type is equal to text. Then whatever is entered in that needs to be converted into uppercase. For uppercase also, we do not have to do the hard logic. Directly make use of the function uppercase. Now, we take one button also. Otherwise, only if you enter, how will it get submitted, right? So we'll also have to make use of a button. In the program, I will show you. First, let me show you the output of this. Okay, no decoration I've done here, no field set, no division, nothing. That is left up to you. In one program that is shown. Now observe when it gets converted to uppercase and when it does not. One string I will enter. All the letters are in lowercase. I'm going to say okay, it's converted. Now, let me enter like this. First is in caps lock, rest are in lowercase. What you're getting? Entered string is in uppercase. Okay, just because one letter. Another instance. Converted. Now, let me enter digits. Fine. So only 2 things I have handled in this program. Rest is up to you to implement the other cases. Without adding my brains, just sticking to the program, if I enter in lowercase, you'll have no errors, nothing is going to be there. It will convert to uppercase and display. Usual way when we write nouns, we try to make the first letter capital, rest of the things are in smaller case, you will have a problem there, right? It will give us already in uppercase. So one thing, you implement rest of the cases, or when you show the output to the externals, be smart enough. Getting? Now, let's continue with this program. Rest of the cases, take it for homework, implement the cases and come. In the HTML section now, we are directly starting with JavaScript itself. Okay. One function, the function name is string con. No parameters, no arguments, just empty blank, empty brackets. One variable called as check. Now, observe what is there for this. Check is equal to document dot myform dot name box dot value. What we want is, whenever the user enters the text here, that text should be stored in this variable, called as check. Now, how do I fetch it? One method we saw in the previous program, it is get element by ID. Another way, this is another way. Just remember these names, myform and name box. We'll come to the HTML section here. Look at the form name. I've given the form name as myform. Do I have any action or method attribute here? Get post? No. Action is not there. Then observe the first text box, name box. So how is the flow now? Document you need to specify. Why? Because document is one important object here which takes up the entire whatever is there, the screen, or you say whatever tags you have written. Dot, since object oriented dot, then my form is what? The form name. So I'm saying in this entire document, go to the look up for the form name with my form. If you find a particular form with the name my form, in that form, look up for name box. So what it will do, it will search the entire document. It will look up for the my form. Here it will look up for the name box. And you know what dot value does? Tries to set or will try to get that particular value. Okay. Now another possibility would be, whenever we talk about JavaScript and HTML, will your JavaScript or the program will just have one form? If you think of a larger instance, a particular page can have multiple forms. So that time what you will do? One possible way is either go with the ID, give unique IDs to all the elements. Another way would be you fetch it with the help of the form names and the IDs. So form name again, whenever you give, make sure that if you have more than one form in your code, don't give the same form name. Don't give the same ID name. Keep it unique. Now, next thing here, have a look at the for loop. The for loop starts, okay, before we go to this, let me, okay, have a look here. If I'm writing the string, okay, like this in JavaScript, this will basically be treated as an array only, meaning the indices will start from 0 and will proceed on, just like the concept of the arrays. So what I want is, I want to traverse through each of these indexes, that is travel through each of the values that are there, and then check for whether it is in lowercase or uppercase. So what I am doing here in this for loop is, I am traversing from 0 and till where should I go? Up till the length, that is the last. Now since it depends on the user, the name can be only of 4 letters or it could be up till any maximum length. So what I am saying, check dot length. What does this variable check contain? What does it contain? The data that was entered in the form or the data that was entered in the text box. So I am saying check its length and traverse up till the last. Increment with each of this. Now here, check dot char code add. Char code at is a built-in function. This particular function will take one parameter, any alphabet, and it will return its ASCII code or Unicode. Do you remember the ASCII code range for small case letters? What it is? 97 up till 122. That is lowercase, small case. Okay. So I am saying you traverse. First time when I is 0, it will have the letter A. So char code of A. What is going to be the char code of A? Who remembers the first one? 97, no? It starts from 97. So if it is greater than or equal to from 97 up till 122, it means it is already in lowercase. And if that is the case, we are directly printing, converted string. Sorry, this is for 97 to 122 is for lowercase only, no? Lowercase. So if it is in lowercase, then what do you have to do? Convert it into uppercase. So for that, we say converted string plus symbol for appending or joining, then check dot to uppercase function, a built-in function to uppercase, and just pass I. At index I, we have the first letter, that is A now. So likewise, each of it goes on iterating. Each of the ASCII code is checked. If it is in this range, we will convert to uppercase and print it. If it is not, we are not handling any other else condition. We are directly saying it is in uppercase. So you can add more else blocks here, and you can check only if the first letter is in uppercase. If how I entered randomly there, one uppercase, one lowercase, but it still was giving me that it is in uppercase. Or if I enter digits, it is telling me the string is in uppercase. So all the rest of the implementations you can have in the else block. So this much only is the program. Just observe here, the input type here given is button. We have not taken submit. Okay. Another thing, on-click event. What on-click event will do? When the user clicks on the button, that function will be called. Which function? String con. What is there in string con function? Trying to convert the lowercase letters to uppercase. Understood these two programs? So for tomorrow's lab, you people execute up till here. Then we will continue with rest.